computer.
This meeting is being recorded.
Yes. Hi, Norma. Hi, Julie. How's everybody?
Oh, that's not good. Let's see. Oh, that's
All
really
right.
good. Oh, that's really not good. All right, I'm gonna be blind. I think that's
This day just keeps being obnoxious. It's just weird.
it's all good. We're here to make dots.
Let's do dots. Let's get lost in the polka dots.
Dots in the dots. Stephanie, can I share my screen?
I made you co-host, so you should be able to screen share. Yes.
All right, well, first of all, let me get, all right, how am I gonna do this? I'm used to, there's that, and then, wait, let's put that over, bear with me. I'm gonna do this here, and I'm gonna do this here. Oh, look at that, I did split screen. All right, I am going to, because what I'm gonna do is copy, put my link in the chat, and then I will share my screen. Anyone with a link?
Your link to what?
My slideshow.
Oh, thank you.
So then if anybody wants my slideshow, you can have it and you can just make a copy of it and then you can edit it however you would like.
You're
So-
awesome. I was actually going to ask you that in private, so I didn't put you on the spot.
All
Thank
good.
you so much. That's very generous. Thank you.
All right, so there is my slideshow. Now, share screen. Let's see. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Huh?
It's not letting me. Let me try this again.
Is
It's
that
saying host disabled participant screen sharing. Evidently, it's not letting me share my screen.
all right? Wait, make co-host. I thought I did that, but okay, try again.
There
It
we go.
says on my end too. I just tried to click just to see.
All right, let's see. I'm going to share that.
Yay, there it is.
There we go.
Yeah. All right, now let me see if I've got, you don't want to see, unless you want to learn about design principles.
I did that a long time ago.
Is that R2? I lost it. I had it and then I lost it. Now I'm trying to find it again. Let me see if I have.
I lose it every day. Every day.
Painting 706. All right. Can you see?
I see your slideshow.
Little, very little, small.
I think I tried to make it big. Now it's being, oh, here we go.
Oh,
Can you see it now?
circles.
Yes.
Big circles.
Big
with dots.
snurkles.
Only half of it's there.
Circles and
It's
dots.
Big.
Where's
the left
pink
half.
yellow?
Big snurkles. Hi, Sarah.
You should see, it should say
Okay.
acrylic dot painting.
we
Nope.
can't see that part. It's cut off. Like I know
Oh,
what's
my.
missing because I opened your slides, but we can only see the left side of the slide. It looks like
Circle.
when I'm looking at your Chrome, it looks like it's zoomed in real big. I don't know if that's affecting it.
Oh, well, there am I again. I'm not. So now, like I stopped. It's no longer the slide. I mean, I no longer did slideshow. What are you guys seeing now?
The preview with all the slides small on the left-hand side, and it's not full
There-
screen.
It's very tiny.
Very tiny. Okay, how do I make you not tiny? Very tiny. That's weird.
Can you hit the little open square in the top right corner to expand your window?
Ooh, yeah.
Well, I
It
did
says
that,
view-
but that. Oh wait, no. You know what? Let's do
There's
this.
view options, maybe fit to screen.
Whoa, now that's not working. That's loud and clear.
There.
All right,
Well, where are your slides? It
screen.
was bigger
Oh,
then.
I just stopped sharing, so let's try this again. All right, hold on, people. We'll get it.
Gotta love technology.
So you need to make the slides smaller so the screen will be bigger.
The-
Well, let's get rid of that. I'll get rid of maybe that'll work if I get rid of the preview. All right, let me try this again. Boom, boom. Okay, there we go. Let me go back on Zoom. There y'all are. Okay, share more. Share screen. Share screen. What do I want to share? This. So let's try that.
Yay.
Ooh,
Better?
That's good.
Yes.
Okay. So I
With-
think what happened was because I had the little sidebar thing open, it made everything really small.
Yeah.
So I think it was Roberta that said, make them big. Whoever said make them big, I made them big.
I
Now
don't know if you can go by me because I'm looking at it on my phone, which is going to make it tiny anyway, but this is much better what you just did.
Good. All right. Well, good evening, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our workshop. I'm so happy that we're finally able to do this. The only thing I can't do now is advance. Oh, wait, click show film strip. No, that's not going to work.
What if you hit the arrow keys on your laptop?
Oh, maybe I can do that. Oh, brilliant.
There you go.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, so that's me with the blue hair. And my email is there. I have been an art educator for 25 years. Holy moly. I emailed a former student who is his birthday's today. He's 31. Like,
Oh my God.
Okay, so this is kind of our agenda. So the slideshow that I gave you guys, I changed the order around. When I do this with my students, I start talking about the learning the technique, but I flip that around so I can just kind of go through the first part of it really quick, and then we can get to like the nitty gritty and the fun. Again, you can do whatever you want with this. Just make a copy of the presentation, and then you are more than welcome to do with it as you will. Okay, so here are some of my student examples from, I've done this lesson twice now. So some of these are from the students that just finished, and some of these are from years ago when I had done it. When I had done it years ago, I primarily concentrated on Aboriginal art. And this time I took from all over the place as to not offend anybody. Whole story for a whole nother conversation.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So the finals here are on butcher paper. It's like the roll, you know how you get the mural paper? So this is just the brown, and they put it on, they did the symbol, and then they did the work around it, and then before they were done, they kind of tore the edges just to give it kind of an old-fashioned look. So these are some more. This is one that I've done that I haven't changed yet. Virgo symbol for my daughter. And this is one that's getting started. And then I think this is another one that's about done. So all in all, the kids really, really enjoyed it. It's great for all levels. Now, in terms of supplies, I just realized because I don't have this in slideshow form, you can't necessarily see it. You do not need all these fancy supplies. If you Google dotting supplies, I mean, you can get kits like this, and I actually do have some of them. The thingies with like the little balls on them, I'm not crazy about because you can't really see them. But really all you need are skewers. You can get these on Amazon, dollar store. You can get them in different sizes. So I have this, and they've been used. So toothpicks will work. I'm trying to put this so that you guys can see it. So this is probably the most used because it has the two sides. It is this side that makes a little dot, and then it has the point.
Wait, which
And
are you
then-
showing us? Because the only thing I can see is the bulleted list and you crouching over.
And me going, ah! Okay,
Yeah.
so you guys can't see me. Okay, so then I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna go-
You have to look at her camera, Steph. Like,
Oh,
Oh,
I
you're
can
holding
see-
stuff up? Were
I
you
was.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad. As the kids say, my bad.
All good. So these are, yeah, that's my list. Wooden skewers, Q-tips you can get. I have two, so these I get. I had a bunch of these left over that you can get from paint stores, but you can also get regular Q-tips. You know, the super cheap ones. So the most my kids use these a lot, and they use these a lot. And then you do need a pencil, the really cheap pencils. These make the biggest circles, or the biggest at least that we're using. And then to start, I had my students start on this black 4x5 inch black construction paper. And this is how they kind of practice their techniques. This is what we're gonna do tonight. And then their finals were on the brown butcher paper. So this gives you an idea. I'm gonna put the window back in there, of just the sizes of the dots. So again, really cheap supplies. You don't need anything fancy. And the dowel rods and everything but the Q-tip, the toothpicks and the Q-tips, we just reused as we needed.
Okay.
Oops, now I'm trying to, let me get rid of this.
What's the thing above the toothpick? I missed that one.
This right here,
Yeah.
it's another one of these little, it's a little shish kebab dowel rod, like that you would put shrimp on.
Okay, got it.
This one, yeah, this is just, that one is just the other side of a toothpick. I got like the fancy toothpicks.
Yeah.
But as long as you have something that makes a point, that has a really pointy end and then a small circle, you're fine.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now I'm trying to think of how I can get rid of this. Let's see.
Dan, I was gonna load the dishwasher. Huh?
The dishwasher?
Go right
All
ahead.
right. So,
Okay,
so
all right.
when I did this with
Done.
my students, this was coming off an acrylic paint lesson where we learned about mixing colors and tones and tints. So this is actually the second painting assignment, which is why it says there, continue to learn to mix tints as well as intermediate colors and colors with shelter intensities. So that's why that's on there. Create rhythm, variety, movement, dot size, placement, and color, and then to create a unified design through the use of color and pattern. So those were kind of like the big ideas. I'm going to try to go through this part really quickly because you guys have it. This is just what I've shown my students. This slide is basically where I start talking about the different cultures and the different inspirations. And I do talk to the kids about cultural appropriation versus cultural appreciation. And in a nutshell, I'm like, you know, we as human beings, the reason why I have this like art history thing is, you know, nothing exists in a vacuum and if humans are constantly influencing. And I make the comparison to fashion and music and blah, 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 blah. And so then these are a bunch of different, you know, artists and cultures. And I do talk about Aboriginal art and I talk about pointillism. And again, I'm going through this really fast. Feel free to stop me if you have a specific question.
Can I stop you for 1 second?
You
Those
sure
of
can.
Who were not with us at the last session may not realize the craziness we've been through with this.
Oh yeah, tell that story. That's good.
I'll give the abridged version. I'm sure everybody is well aware of issues circling appropriation versus appreciation. I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but the first time that we posted anything about this lesson, we were kind of, I don't want to say attacked, but we were kind of reprimanded, scolded, or whatever. Like how excuse me, but on one of the posts that I put on Facebook, are you an Aboriginal Indian and you shouldn't be posting this if you are not, and if you don't have permission from an elder in a tribe, and blah, 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 blah. And I got phone calls from the president of NYSADA telling me that she's been getting complaints about it. Meanwhile, the workshop hadn't even happened yet. People were accusing us of all kinds of things that didn't even happen. So that started a whole drive toward clarity in terms of how to teach specific cultural arts, because it's kind of our job. It's what we're supposed to do anyway as lifelong art educators. So just for clarity, Julie, when we discuss this and you do this in the classroom, you approach this instead of as an Aboriginal interpretation for your kids, you decided to come at it sideways from a different angle and approach it as dot painting through various cultures and different artists around the world. So this is not specifically addressed as Aboriginal art for anybody watching this later on or watching it now who may have issue with it for whatever reason. You're using the idea of the dot painting and how it's been interpreted all over the world by a million different artists, and how it is also a very meditative practice, symbolic practice in every culture that uses it. So I just want to preface that before we get into, because I don't want to have any more emails or issues with this. So having covered all our bases, I hope at this point, I'll give it back to you, ma'am.
Well, and going back to this, this slide here, I do explain, this is a great time for discussion with my students about that very topic. And it makes art in the classroom very organic and very real, because I share with them real world how they get their influences for their own art and music and fashion. And depending on the class, sometimes they're like, okay, yeah, move on to see, we just want to get the work done. Other kids really want to discuss it. So it really depends on like the personality of the individual class. But I've had wonderful discussions about where we get our art and our influences. And then when I talk to them about the Aboriginal culture, I will tell them a little bit about it. And I will tell them about how much of this is ritual and symbolism and very, very sacred. And I make sure that the kids understand that we are not imitating any specific culture. Our goal is not to imitate or copy or mock in any way, shape, or form.
Claim as our own.
Right, or claim as our own. So I talk about how even the project that I created for the kids to do, basically I took from a bunch of different things and I kept the things that I really liked, but wanted to make sure that they understood that this project that we're doing it's basically dots combined with symbolism, just to make it a little bit more interesting for themselves, for them to draw a connection, but has nothing to do with any other culture. And so I like the fact that we can talk about that with the kids. And again, this is high school level, and they have really, the kids have really, the discussion in and of itself, I think has been really great, because the kids can ask questions and they can talk about it. And there's sometimes where I'm like, I honestly don't know where the line is or where the direction. We haven't really been given guidance. But I tell them as an artist, it is very important to be sensitive to any other culture or any other group of people that does something like this. And when you're doing your own art, to basically make it your own and not an imitation of someone else's art. And the biggest way we do that with ours is the color palette. When we get into the colors, and they have already been talking about color and color schemes on the basic level. Now we're going to get more into personal color schemes, where they're deciding and choosing colors that are important to them. And as noted in the Aboriginal cultures, not necessarily the one on the left, but the one on the upper right, they're a lot more muted and more earth tones. So I go into all that with the Aboriginals, and I do talk about pointillism with Surat. And oh yes, Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
I didn't get to see the slide right before that one.
Before the pointillism one?
It was a lot of pictures on it, like 2 slides back.
Oh, I'm sorry, this one. Is this the one you're talking about? I don't know if you're asking a question, you're muted. Oh, good.
Are those eggs?
The right here, they're rocks.
Oh, those are rocks.
They're rocks.
Wow.
Yeah, these are rocks. And I'll get to the artist that primarily does these. These are rocks. This is a canvas. This is a bottle. This is, I believe it's just the plain natural paper. This is a mask. And this is the natural paper.
Did you do these with students?
I did. This is what I showed students coming from other artists.
Oh, these are very nice.
They're beautiful. The student work, I don't know if you came, I showed a couple of examples earlier in the slide, and there is a link in the chat. I'll put it in the chat again to the slide.
I would love to do the bottles. That's beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that, it just looks so intricate, just kind of turning it to a more of a 3D. And
Mhm.
the mask was more of the Molly culture did and it's not so much dots as it is beading, but it
Mhm.
kind of gives that same effect.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
yeah. Okay, so George Surratt, and I do talk about the, the eye and how pointillism and how your eye can kind of blend the dots. And then Elspeth McLean, this is the artist that did the rocks. She's a British artist, and she has really, she mainly, I get it from her, I get the really bright, bold colors, and just the more intricate kind of different sizes of design. She does mandalas, she does a lot of different work. She has an Instagram, so I encourage the kids to take a look at her work, because it's just, it's coming from everywhere, all these different ideas. And then of course, Yayoi Kusama, who I absolutely love. And I talked to the kids about her, and I helped them make a connection with her, using art as kind of a lifeline, and spending as much time as she does in an institution for mental health, and how she has used art to literally to save her life.
Yeah.
And then I will show them this video. And this is when she had the installation piece, which was all white and gave people sheets of dots and filled it up. And this video is really cute because it shows it as starting white, and then it shows it filling up and filling it up and filling it up. So that's kind of a cool thing. And with all of this, I'm having the students just kind of get that, just be, experience dots from all over the place, and just kind of see how it is in all these different avenues. And then I talked to them about the assignment, how they develop their own color palette, and that their colors do primarily need to be mixed, because I did this with art too. So they had the very basic color mixing, and then the project we just finished was mixing tints, tones, and shades. And now they're going to be able to create their own palette, but I didn't want them to use colors right out of the tube. I wanted them to get more of a range of tints and all that good stuff. So then going through tint, tone, hue, shade, all of that, I do talk to them about intensity versus value. This is something that was new to them. You can see the little sketchbook. That's kind of my thing to them, that they have to write down the notes. So then I tell them, if you are someone who does not want bright colors, you can make your colors dull, and vice versa. Because at this point, I want them to explore their own personal color palette and kind of, expand on their color knowledge. And then I talk about using what is it called? Intermediate color, complementary colors to make colors dull. And so I just kind of go through this whole thing with them. I'm doing this really fast with you guys, because as educators, I know you probably do it in your own way. And there have been times where I've had students do these little mixing exercises, but I wanted them to just see. I didn't want them to kind of go through it, because they're going to do that in a different way. But I wanted them to see what happens when they mix the complements and how they can get duller colors. So then I was telling them, this is kind of how I have them to try to get the colors that they want. Now I do this part on color after we've done the initial technique. So they have the technique already kind of down, the dotting technique. And then they go back and they start playing around with colors and figuring out their color palette. And then for the sake of using the black paper and the brown paper, I tell them that pastels, lighter colors do work best. They can really, I leave it very open for their own, however they want to do their color combinations, because I don't want them to be really limited by anything, other than the fact that I want them to mix the colors and not take them right out of the bottle. All right, and then I go into symbolism, and I talk about, using a personal symbol, and I get into the do's and don'ts of symbols, and I do talk about, I don't think I have that on the slideshow, but I do talk about what symbols are appropriate, what symbols are inappropriate. And then they do a sketchbook page. So they have already done and this is what we're going to do tonight with the circles. So they've already done that in one class time when we just started doing the technique. And then when this is done, then we're starting to explore color and symbolism, and they do a sketchbook page where they're playing around with swatches. And I had a student that did this, And I showed them, this is an example of what not to do because we're still doing the technique. So I want them to kind of stick with that, that circular technique. But this same student went back, once I kind of explained to her, she went back and did it a second time. And then she put in the actual symbols, painted in black, and then started really going around them with the dots. So this was a great, I had a lot of time to be able to do this. This was a great way for them to just do some exploring. So then they did the techniques, they practiced symbols, they swatched, they played around with their colors, and that was mixed in this. So we spent a class period kind of doing this. And here are just some others.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
How long is let me try this again. How often do you see the kids, and how long is the unit to go through all of these multiple mini exercises and assignments prior to the actual project?
Excellent question. This was, so I see the students every other day. We have A days and B days for an hour and a half. And this basically was the whole entire quarter was acrylic paint. So we started in the very beginning of the quarter. We did a vector painting from like Thanksgiving until Christmas. And then we started this immediately after Christmas, and this took us to the end of January.
So about 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where it was just taking on a life of its own, and the kids were really getting into it. And I wanted them to kind of take this step here with the sketchbook pages to be able to play around with color schemes, because a lot of them really didn't get that experience. And again, depending on what you want to do, I did not do the sketchbook pages when I had done this assignment before. They went right from the circles to the final project and still did some really good designs.
Well,
So
it seems much more fully immersive and therefore a more rich experience because they got to go deeper, even if it took longer.
Yeah.
I know a lot of us struggle with how much we want to do as the setup toward it. But whatever it takes for them to get it, it is kind of what we want, right?
Yeah. Well, and what I liked about this was they were able to really play around with color and color scheme and practice, like kind of invent different things. And yeah, it just made more of a connection. And now it became more their own personal art. And like we weren't even talking about any other cultures at this point. At this point, it was just like, this is your own symbol. This is your own color scheme. This is your own dot. Now you're kind of creating your own thing. And so that's where it just kind of happened again, organically.
Right.
Can I just add something? I just think it's really great that that they really got it and that you went with them and you just didn't cut it short. You know how sometimes you're like, oh, we only have like one more week left, but it looks like they really got into it and you didn't rush it.
Right. No, I definitely didn't want to rush it. Especially when they were like, even when they were doing their sketchbooks, so you'll find it's so meditative. And when I first did it, I didn't even realize that that's what was going to happen until all of the students just seemed really chill. And they're like, can we just keep doing this? And it was just cool. I was like, and that was part of the reason why I wanted to do it again, was to kind of get them into that meditative state.
Awesome.
So then this is what what I showed you guys, how I flipped it around a little bit. I showed you all the color in the sketchbook pages. This is what I do. I'm back to the very beginning. I love this quote because we all know Picasso and all of his different, thingamajigs. And this is where I like to tell the students where they're like, well, you want us to do it your way, not our way. I basically break that right away because I'm like, there is a technique that I'm going to want you to learn. Once you've learned that technique, you can be the artist and invent new ways to go about doing it when you get to their final. And after doing the whole thing, I found that a few really do kind of go off on their own, but they've really kept that really nice, beautiful dot pattern rather than just like, I have some from the very beginning where they're just like random. I can show you I kept some of the bad ones, excuse me, quote unquote bad. Nothing's really bad. Our kids are not bad. Sorry. I had like one like where they were just like random and all over the place. They tried to kind of get them, but they didn't really get in the circle. But I knew if I didn't give them this instruction, they would just be making dots. They wouldn't really know what they were doing. And they wouldn't even try this. They would just kind of put dots on to get it done. So I had to kind of get the buy-in and teach them how to do this technique. So that's how I started. And I gave them, the paper I gave them was, and you guys are going to be able to start this. If you have white paper, it doesn't matter whether you have white or black, but I basically gave them a piece of paper that had 2 dots on it that I made ahead of time. So I used my, I don't want the glare on the light. I used the pencil with white paint, and I just dipped it in the paint and made 2 dots and let them dry. So when the students got the papers, they already had 2 white dots on them. And I let them pick whatever colors they wanted. They did need to mix a lot of them into white so that they would be lighter, but I didn't care too much about the color scheme because I just wanted them to get the technique. And I showed, sorry?
What was the rationale for pre-dotting the paper?
Just so that they could, and to make sure that they were spread apart pretty even. And they had something down on the paper already. I also didn't want to give out a bunch of these pencils without them knowing, really knowing what the technique was. So as you can see from this example, the big dots, there's really only a few of them. And so they start with 2 and they make the circles. And then near the end, I let them use pencils to make other dots in other parts of it.
Okay.
So it just helped kind of giving them a jumping off point.
Yeah.
And steering them kind of in the direction that I wanted to. I was afraid that if I gave them a blank screen, a lot of them would go off and do their own thing, which eventually I don't have a problem with. And I told them that. I was like, right now, stick with me. We're going to do this. And then like kind of giving them that out, like eventually you'll be able to kind of, go off on your own.
Gotcha.
So this is some of the examples. The one in the middle was one I found online. And then the other 3 are student examples. And so I had them make their colors in these little color tins, and they got their paper, they put their name on the back. And then this I just wanted to show you guys because I got this online. This is an amazing hack. I've had my acrylic paint stored like this the entire year and have barely had a problem with it. You get these little squeeze bottles from Amazon, and oh my gosh, it's worked like a charm.
And what are those racks? Are those wine racks?
No, they come like when you can get them on Amazon. When you look up the squeeze bottles, they have like the holders. They're like condiment bottle holders.
They're called FIFO bottles.
That's what they are.
FIFO.
Yeah.
My elementary kids, a kindergartner, once they learn, they can squeeze their own paint and
Yeah.
refill it.
Yeah, they do. Occasionally I'll get a little heavy squeezing, but for the most part, it really saves a ton of time. It saves paint from getting clogged, having to constantly, yeah. So I would highly recommend these. All right, segue. Okay, so this is basically just get a little bit. They only started with, I had pre-portioned the whites already set. So they could just grab that and then just kind of, they have like, on their palette, they would have a couple tints mixed with in cups, and then they could have a palette with like one other color. I kind of forget what the directions said here. But this was how, and it's basically however you want to organize your own colors. Because I didn't want to have like a ton of people, flooding the whole paint counter to mix up all these paints. So I just gave them like a little bit to start, and because they use such a small amount in their on the dots, they use very, very little. So these things work like a charm. And I actually used a lot of the leftover paint from the previous assignment, at least to get them started. Oops, I pushed the wrong button, sorry. All right, and then I talk about how they're going to use all these different sizes, and this is what they're going to use. And then this is how they start. So this is, I'm going to just really quickly just show you the progression in the sides and how, actually, let me go back. We start with both dots. They just pick a color and they go around, and then they go around the second time, and then they fill in their dots, and I show them what not to do. And again, it takes practice. So I have some kids that still end up with this. But that's why it's good to have these small papers, because then they get it done, and they get all of the, you know, especially I have like a bunch of teenage boys who don't really have the fine motor control. So this lets them completely try it out without worrying about failing or getting it wrong. And if they get it wrong, then they just try again. And then this, so I basically show them the difference. And then while they're doing it, I'm doing it with a camera, like a, what do you call those? Like an Elmo camera. And we basically everyone starts at the same time, kind of going together. And then they build, and eventually I show them how they can change patterns, they can change colors, they can kind of go off in different directions. And that gives them, the ones who are really want to kind of fly ahead tend to get creative with it. The other ones that are not so sure, they just kind of stick with the progression of the circles. And then again, I talk about how they don't want their circles to get all spindly. And as we go along, I'll show you guys how to kind of prevent that. And the one on the left, I'm like, you know, you have to basically look where you are sticking. You can't just be random with it. It's not that kind of pointillism. And then the whoops, you know, I tell them, I'm like, yeah, this is good. You're learning a skill. You're going to mess up. That's why we were doing this on the practice paper. And then they end up filling up the whole space. Sometimes they can do this in one class period. Sometimes it takes two, depending on what they do. And usually when they come the second time, I give them, like if they finish up the class and they haven't finished these, when they come back in the second day, I give them the option of starting again or continuing. And the ones that really messed up usually want to start again. And if they don't get their whole paper filled, it doesn't matter as long as they get the technique down. And they usually are able to get the technique pretty well by that point. And then, so this is kind of taking us to a second day when once their dots start to touch, they can make some decisions. They can decide to continue both of them. They can have one circle grow really big, one circle stay small. They can outline all of them, kind of like a figure eight. They can add more dots and then add more circles. So it kind of lets them, even though they're all doing the same circular technique, it lets them kind of branch out and do different things depending on what they want to do. And then they go on to their final, but I won't go into that yet. Any questions so far?
No.
So what I figured we could do is with whatever supplies you guys have, if you're using, now like an idiot, I left my document camera at school, but I'm going to do my best with you guys. Actually, how do I want to do this? Let me stop sharing the screen. The way I can see all of you guys. What grades you this assignment? Good question. Sorry, I'm just now seeing the questions. Oh, wait, I lost everybody. Are you guys still here?
Nope, we left. Where are you?
Wise guy. All right, camera's now. So hi, Yali. No worries about the camera being off. So I do this with high school. This is art 2. So they've already had a year of art, but when I had done it previously with the same amount of success, I did it with art 1. I did it with people that had very little art. As long as you take the time to teach them the technique, they'll get it. So what I have on this paper right here, I have my swatches. So if you're using dark paper, the best thing to do is to use lighter color, either tints or metallics. It's acrylic paint. If you have just white, you can do white. It doesn't really, the color really doesn't matter as long as you have something that's going to show up on the paper. If you're using white paper, then just instead of making white dots, make, you know, pink dots or blue dots or something like that. So I went ahead and started a couple so that, because I know I don't have my document camera and now I can't find them. Sorry, I had 2.
Jeannie, I can't reach my keyboard. I'm saying, I do use those squeeze bottles with my tempera. I teach
Works like
elementary
a
art.
charm, doesn't it?
And yes, like I said, my kindergartners could squeeze it.
All right, so oh, here it is, behind my computer. Okay, so the very first thing you guys are gonna do, hopefully you can see that okay. You have your 2 dots on there, and if you haven't done that, you're going to take a pencil, any pencil, and you're going to dip the eraser tip in the paint, and you're going to make 2 dots just kind of about like 3 inches apart. That's step 1.
Okay. I have to get a pencil. Got it. Everything but a pencil. Oh.
All good. So you want it to look like this. Just 2 pencil dots. And again, this paper, this is some classes I had the black cardstock, some classes I just used construction paper. Why there's such a weird glare on this? I'm really sorry, I can't see it. And I bought the cheapest pencils I could find at the dollar store. I told my students if I caught them using a Ticonderoga pencil for this, I was gonna be very angry. I said some other things, but they know what a pencil snob I am. Yeah, super, super cheap. So once you have the 2 dots, then you're gonna choose a color and you're gonna use your smallest point. So either your toothpick or the really small point. Let me show you guys the really small point from the shish kebab. And you're going to make a ring of dots around each big white dot. And again, they don't have to be perfect, especially if this is the first time you're doing it. You're just going around with your paint. I was about 2/3 of the way home when I realized I forgot my document camera. And I was like, no.
It's okay. There was one day that I walked out without my my laptop charger. And we would not have made it through a session without my
Oh,
and I'm like, okay, that's not a good thing. So I had to turn around and go back and get my charger.
well, and I debated. I was like, I really should go back and get it. But then I thought if I can at least do examples,
Yeah.
guys, then it'd be better. Plus, I was a little nervous about having the screen sharing and the document camera and all that set up and missing questions. All right, so I just did 1. So this is 1, and now you're going to do your second one. And I do tell the students to use the same color. So both circles are going to initially be identical. And it's really funny how I don't know if you guys notice this, but when students are doing a new technique, very few of them want to deviate from what you're telling them.
Yeah, they want to copy you exactly.
They want to copy exactly. So I didn't have anybody like, well, I want to do it this way. But the cool thing is once they got the technique down, then they kind of were excited. Some of them did kind of go off and do some different things, but it still looked really, really good. It wasn't like.
Are we still using the same color as the middle dot?
You can, but I told
change it now?
you don't have to. So what I did, I don't know why there's a glare. Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah, ish.
Weird.
Yeah. It's got like strobes all over it.
It does, and I don't know whether it's let me get a different light on. Oh, I know what I can do.
I think your light is from the window. Maybe.
No, it's from I just realized that like it got dark and I didn't have the regular room light on. And so I only had this one light and it was making it really bright. So here's this a little bit better, a little stroby. So
Right,
I did
so kind of
different
push.
colors.
Okay.
Actually, now I can turn this. Oh no, yeah, that's better. That's better. There, now you can see.
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
So now once you have gone around both with your toothpick, the second thing you're going to do is change your color to a second color. And you're going to go around a second time. So you're going to do both dots a second. And the second one, just try to get them pretty close together. But again, you're freehanding it. What I tell the students is just try to keep the dots right next to the previous circle. And that'll help. It's still small enough that you'll be able to kind of get it. So once you're done with your first dot, you can do your first circle, then you can do your second circle.
The spacing takes practice.
The spacing does take practice. And I do have a trick for when it gets out a little bit further. Because it's really only the second or third circle are kind of the trickiest, then it actually gets easier. But the cool thing is if the kids know they have like a practice paper and they know that it's just practice and they don't freak out as much. But something I'll tell my kids, and you can take a look at this, my second circle, instead of adding any extra dots, I basically put a dot right next to the first circle. So my first circle was orange. My second circle is silver, although I don't know if you can see the colors. And what I did was I just added a dot right next to that very first dot. And then I'm going to go, right now, I'm going to go back in and fill the spaces. So that makes it a little bit easier to not have to, like, if you're going around in a circle and you're worried about not creating a perfect circle, this really helps kind of keep you in a circle point.
Are you still using the same size dot?
Using the same size dot. Yep, I just cleaned my toothpick off. And then I went around and made my second row of circles, but I did the exact same number of dots as the first one. And I just put the dots right next to them. And then when I was done, then I go back in and kind of fill the spaces. Then it makes more of a tighter circle. So now this is the circle completely filled in. And I explain that with my students. Some of them got it, some of them didn't. But basically, I told them if you made 11 circles, 11 dots in your very first circle, make 11 dots in your second circle. Don't add any more dots yet. And put a dot of your second color right next to the first color.
Hard to make them all the same size.
It is. It takes practice, and the practice will definitely come. All right, so here are my 2 circles. And again, they're not going to be perfect. They don't have to be.
On or just keeping to this to what you just told us?
Are we on? Did you guys finish your second circle?
Almost.
Oh, come on, Stephanie.
I'm sorry. I'm being a rebel. I have a confession. Because my day has been so crazy, I just wasn't in the mood to pull out all my acrylics. So I'm actually attempting this with watercolor.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right, once you guys have done the second one, I have told the students, I actually have them do a third row with the point, still the small circle. And so here again, what I'm doing now that my circle is getting bigger, to prevent it from becoming kind of spindly, I tell them, just like they did with the first circle, when they do the third circle, they're doing the same amount of dots as the second circle. So I don't necessarily have them count, but I tell them put the dot right next to where that previous dot is. Don't add any more. You can change your color. You can even, if it helps, you can do every other dot, if that makes it easier to kind of start putting them down. And this is where I may have some kids that have just completely gone out in left field. And sometimes I'll come around and I'll create another circle for them to follow, because it's just a practice. Or I'll ask them if they wanted to start again. It just depends on the, the individual student.
That's a great tip to do the same amount of dots.
Yeah. It helps because then you're like creating another circle. You're focusing on putting a dot next to the previous dot, but you don't even realize you've made a circle. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a circle. And then you can go back in and fill in spaces if you need to.
Yeah. The first one, I didn't do that. And then you said the hint, and the second one looked so much better.
Did you get any kids who were frustrated that it takes too long?
Oh yeah. I had some that were, they were just like, it just was like they were getting bored.
Uh-huh.
And I just kind of had to be like, you just continue to go, and told them to wait for the sweet spot, because it's like you will get to the point where you're doing it, and you're, that there's no rush. Don't worry about the end goal.
Should we be putting the third ring around it?
Yes.
Okay.
And then if your third ring, if you feel like you don't have enough space to put any additional dots, it's okay not to, because as you go further out, you will fill in the dots. When you're done with your third row, stop and wait for everybody, and then then we're going to change sizes of our dot thingies. I need to keep needing tissues. I keep forgetting. All right, so let me know when you guys are ready. Move on to our fourth. What time? 8 o'clock. Ooh, good, we got time.
I'm ready.
Are any of you guys on spring break yet?
No.
You are, Annie? Oh,
I
no,
am.
2 weeks. Okay. Yeah.
I am.
Carolyn, you are?
Yeah.
Jealous.
So jealous.
I'm
That
sad
just
it's
means
almost
summer's
over
gonna
though.
be longer.
Norma, did you say you're on spring break also?
We're on spring break, yeah. We go back Monday.
Oh.
Yikes. I have the end of the quarter and a whole cluster art show to do before I'm allowed to go on spring break. I'm gonna sleep my whole spring break.
Ditto. Yeah, I got an art show that I'm doing now with the framing. That's so tedious.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. That's so much, the framing and the labels and the maps.
oh, the labels. That's what I'm just making sure I'm getting all their names right. And
Names right, yep.
then I'm going to be adding it in and then double check that and then have somebody else triple check because I've made mistakes because you're rushing, especially that last. Oh,
We have these horrible display panels that are really, really old, super heavy, and you have to cover them with the paper, and it takes forever. Oh my gosh, it takes so long. It's just... All right, so now what I'm going to show you guys what I did or what I've done or what I've told the kids to do. So if you have a stick like this, like what I have, one end is pointy and the other end is like a little round wooden circle. So this is going to be the next one. And depending on what you have, it's like the next flavor up. And then let me show you what I had done. So as you can see, the dots are bigger and I have the students do every other dot initially. So I'm not done with the circle yet. This is the first one because you can see there's space. But instead of putting it right next to every single dot, they do a dot. There's a dot there. They skip a dot, do a dot, skip a dot, do a dot, and go all the way around. And then they go back in and they fill in the space. And if some of them just happen to be so small that they can't fit the same size, then I just have them go around with the little point and stick the little point in again. Does that make sense?
Should we have been told at the beginning that there should be an even number of dots?
No.
Okay.
No, there's not. And you may like, and what I tell them is if there's not any, I don't bother with like a number because they all have different size hands, different size whatnots. If they get to a point where they can't really do every other one, they just kind of squeeze them in.
Okay.
You know, and they eventually, when they see a whole bunch of circles on here, they're not going to see if they happen to have two that are touching each other.
All right.
But this is like the best rule of thumb.
So we're eyeballing it.
Yeah, you're doing like, you're doing every other, aiming for every other dot. And if you have some areas where they get really close together, you don't have to fill that in. And then once you have a circle of those, you can go back in and fill it in with more dots. And if two dots happen to touch each other, that's okay. If you have a space that's a little bit too big. So now I just went and filled them in and you can see they're not like perfectly evenly spaced, but that's okay.
If you can see that like it's just not going to fit size wise between any of those, can you go in with a smaller point? Is the every other?
Yes, and that's what I tell them also. I say if they're still really close together and you cannot fit a second dot, then go in with your little and do dots with that. Yeah, and then I tell them there's many different ways to problem solve, to come up with, you know, this is when you're an artist, so you're coming up with different ways to make it look good. And they kind of start getting excited about that because then they're like, wow, I can actually try this. If this doesn't work, let me try this. And they'll give me ideas. And then they'll give each other ideas. So I'm going to show you guys this example. This is a student's example. And when she did this one and she got them pretty well spaced. But then when she did the second one, there was a lot of empty space here. And so at the end, I just said, well, go back in and just kind of fill in the dots with like a bunch of different dotted patterns. And that's what she did. And so, and there was another one where she made, I don't have an example here, but she made a mistake with it. And then instead of turning that into single dots, she made circles with the dots. So it's like, once they get this, then they can see different solutions. And she didn't do the same, like I could tell she didn't do both of them at the same time. She did one and then the other. And I was like, well, you know, do you like that you did it differently? And she said she wished she had done it the way I told her, because then they would both probably look like this. She did this whole thing first, and then when she went back and do this one, she kind of messed this up. And so she was like, yeah, it probably would have been better, but she at least got something nice done. So you kind of play around with it. The biggest thing I learned with this is them kind of having that permission to completely mess up makes such a difference. And they really can not be afraid. And if they mess it up, then they just start again, or they start on another dot. And especially with this first one. And then if they mess up on their final, they're not worried at all. By that point, they figured out how to fix it or how to make it work. Oops. I turned this over and the paint was wet. Oh, I got paint on my table. That's not good. Oopsie. Oopsie. It's all smushed. Oopsie.
Julie, I want to thank you. I have to go, but I want to thank you for this presentation, and I did download the information. I guess, were they slides or?
Yeah, it's a
PowerPoint?
Google slideshow.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Welcome,
I'm
Carol.
flying out of JFK in the morning to visit my daughter down in DC. So I'm like, I'm packing, I'm trying to pull it together. But
Down in my neck of the woods.
I love the dot painting. I did do it a few times with my class, my second graders. And I wish I had seen this first. But anyway, thank you so much. Everybody be well, and I'll see you all soon.
Good to
Have
see
safe
you.
trip.
Stay
Okay,
well.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Could you put that slide in again? The Google Slides? Copy
Oh,
and
sure.
paste it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
While you guys are dotting. And then basically from here on out, this is when I tell them they can kind of start going on their own. They're just continuing that pattern. When they go to do the fifth circle, they're doing the same size, and they're doing it like right next to the dots, or if they're more comfortable doing every dot, you know, I'm basically like, now you can try to kind of play on your own. And I do show them ones where, like, if you take a look at this one, it's becoming a lot more spindly. That's kind of what I refer to it. And I cautioned them, I said, eventually, if you like this, you may do that, but I want you to avoid that. And if they're doing it next to every dot, if they keep doing that, they'll start to kind of get these arms. So they put it right next to the dot, then they have to make sure they fill it in to keep that nice full circle. Sometimes that's more trial and error, because they tend to have to do it to see it. But then once they see it, then they've got it. All right, let me go get those slides. You guys do this where you're teaching and you just talk to yourself?
Do we talk to ourselves?
Yeah, like right now, it's like, okay, I'm trying to find the slides and I'm getting the slides. The kids will be sitting there and I'm like having a whole conversation with myself. Okay, so I just put the slides in. Link in the chat.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And again, feel free to edit however you want. Just make sure you make a copy. Unless you're doing something really, really cool, then leave them there and let me steal them. It's amazing how much we learn from one another. I don't know where I would be if I had to do this all by myself.
Well, that's been a saving grace of this group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have a steady hand anymore.
Take
Gosh,
practice, Mama.
no, I used to have a steady hand. It takes getting younger and I can't seem to.
Wait, it takes
Man,
getting
and I-
younger.
Getting younger.
If I want my steady hand back, I have to get young again.
You just have to do stuff every day. That's all.
Ugh,
Ugh.
it's not that simple.
Anybody feeling the zen yet?
I think
So-
tonight I need alcohol to hit the zen.
I was gonna say, it's okay if it's not. It's 8 o'clock and it's Thursday, it's March,
It's the day before the end of the marking period.
for the end of the marking period for Stephanie.
Oh my God.
Spring starts in a couple of days.
What does?
That's Monday.
Spring is going to be in a couple of days.
Did you guys get any snow in New York?
Not really.
Some dots,
Us.
very little.
Dots. We got, it was like a, I don't know, what do you call it? Flurries. But then it went up to 40, 50 degrees, so the flurries disappeared.
Died.
Today was 50 something degrees. Yesterday was 30 something degrees. So
Yeah, we had that. Yeah,
Mother
we had the same
Nature's
thing.
having hot flashes.
All those hot flashes.
Yeah, they're so special.
Julie, can I see what yours looks like now?
Sure. It doesn't look, I've just started now. I did my fourth and fifth row. Now
Okay.
I switched to the Q-tip. So
Okay,
I just
so
switched to the Q-tip.
I had to start all over because I was making my dots too far apart. So then I put them closer.
Ooh, that looks great.
Thank you. So, but now I need to put one in between these big ones, right? Still?
Well, so now when you get, I'm trying to think if I have an example. Now, when you get to that point, you really get to kind of play. So you can't,
Okay.
you can do, because see how you make, it makes that really kind of cool, like flowery pattern. You can
Yes.
actually take your tiny little toothpick and make really small dots around the whole circle. And then instead of it being a circle, it kind of has this like undulating pattern. You can do that, or you can put smaller dots in between them to keep a circle. Like
Okay.
it's really, you really can play around.
So now
And my
just be creative.
Now
Just
just be creative. And this is where, you know, my students will, again, it's still practice and they realize what they like and what they don't like and things that work and things that don't.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, that's,
I like that.
like I had this student had their dots really close together, but then went back in with the yellow and went around the blue and made these like little, you know, circles
Okay.
around the blue.
Okay.
So yeah, that's when they can get like, the biggest thing is that it's a, you know, it's a pattern. So as they do on one side, they have to do the same on the other, you know, all the way around.
Okay.
And you know, some of them start over, some of them keep going, and they look at what each other's doing, and that's when it starts to get fun. You can still see the nice tight technique on all of them, but they're slightly different.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And this is where it gets kind of fun to be like, this is where I don't have a problem with telling them they have to do it like me, because they start that way, but then they can branch out.
Okay.
This is interesting with watercolor, by the way.
Yeah, what, can you show yours? Or will it drip?
Hang on. Okay, ready?
Ooh. Well, that's kind of cool.
Is it drippy? No.
Is it, are you on purple paper?
Nope, I painted the background with purple watercolor.
It looks nice.
Hold
looks
it up again, Steph. I didn't see it.
Okay.
I have
Steph,
to-
talk when you hold it up so you go into the big square.
Hello, here we are.
Oh, okay.
I like it.
Yeah. So I'm still, I don't know, I'm playing.
Looks great.
Thank you.
This is what I've got. Oh, where is it?
Zoom in, Mom. Don't go too far out. Closer, 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 closer.
There we go.
Wait a minute. There.
Here it is. Still a little fuzzy, but looks good. I like the pattern.
I would have to touch my phone to get it any closer.
The colors look so pretty too.
Oh, wait. It comes and goes with the focus. Huh. I want to show something else. I bought this at an art, not a flea market, but an outdoor art exhibit a few months back.
That is so pretty.
Beautiful. Is that like ceramic?
It's wood, painted wood.
Wood.
Here's the back.
Perfect.
I
There we
guess the man must have taken your class, Julie.
Well, then just to show you, because we all have so many different kinds of kids, I just want to show you, like, they go in ranges. So I have some kids that initially they didn't really get it, but then, you know, and I have to find Melanie's final, because her final really came out good. Some of them look a little bit spindly, but as long as they get like a feeling of success, this one kind of got like the circles all touched each other. But what I told her is that she's doing it consistently, so it's still making a pattern. So it's like they're all, you know, you get all levels. You get some that are like, there's this one that is like, oh my goodness, she could do it better than me. And then you get some that are just like still kind of all over the map. So
I
it's
like
really
those
just,
colors.
sorry?
I like those colors, the blues.
Pretty.
Yeah, so you really get, you know, you get the whole gamut, and just kind of letting them know that they can continue and build up their skill really helps. And then I also tell them they don't necessarily have to go small to large. They can go small to medium, back to small, to big to small, like they can really kind of play around. One tip that I want to tell you guys, if you do want to go from big to small, so this was my Q-tipped circle. So now if I'm going to go back with a really tiny little point, it's really tricky to visualize the circle. So what I tell my students is, just like we did in the beginning, they put a small dot right next to each big dot, and they go around all the way around first, then they can fill in the spaces. It makes it a lot easier to keep your circles circular.
What advice do you give them when, you know, like they touch a circle and it smears, or, you know, I'm talking from actual experience here. What are some ideas that I can, tips
They
and tricks?
will, like, oh, I know what it was. My one student, Christelle, she had one that smeared. I don't have her example, but if you look at my orange circles, her one smeared, and then she basically smeared each one around in a circle. So she kind of kept all the smears, and then she continued the dots. And I was like, that's brilliant. What a
Okay.
great idea. You just gave me a whole new technique. And she was afraid. She was so afraid that she was like, but it's not a dot. And I was like, so what? It's a swoop. Now I got dots and swoops.
You have
And
to
it-
quote Bob Ross, it's a happy accident that became
Uh-huh.
intentional.
So you can either do that or you can just leave it and it will, in the whole grand scheme of things, your viewer is not going to see it. You, of course, will always see it. It's going to be the first thing you look at and it's going to drive you crazy. But the person grading your project is not going to see it.
True. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then just for the sake of time, if you guys remember when I had them do the sketchbook pages, they didn't fill up the entire sketchbook page. I didn't have that be a requirement because I didn't want them to get sick of the dots before they moved on to their final. As long as they showed me that they could do the technique and that they had their symbols down and they had their color choices, then they were ready to move on.
That's a good idea.
Any technique tips for the Q-tip? Because mine just comes really blobby when I use the Q-tip.
You can't, you have to use several. So you can use one. And what I've done is initially I'll either dip it in water or I'll actually just kind of lick it, damp it. And then if it starts to get blobby, throw it away and get another one. That's the beauty of Q-tips. We have a billion of them.
Perfect, thanks.
Yeah. If it gets too blobby, then just pitch it and grab another one. And when it's time to clean up, I tell them to the big dowels, like these dowels, I tell them to wipe off and put back, and we're able to use them over and over. The Q-tips, of course, they throw away, and the toothpicks, unless we can reuse them, they throw those away.
That's the nice thing about this project is what we are using is so inexpensive.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. That's why you don't want to pay attention to those when they're like, get this mandala dotting kit for $50. It's like, you really don't need that.
I'm just curious, what do you ladies think about art, like where it's going with Chat GPT, that whole program?
What's GPT?
With what?
Chat GPT, the AI that creates the art now.
Oh, that's freaking me out. Skynet, people.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Oh my God. I'm trying not to think about it.
I know.
Yeah,
There's
because
too many other things I have to think about. Robots taking over the world right now is just not.
they're
really
doing the art is why I asked, because that's so crazy.
Yes, it is. It is.
Well, and we got, those of you guys who are teaching high school and have AP, we actually got information telling our students that they will not accept AI art. And we actually had to make sure that we told the kids that because they were starting to get AI art.
That's good.
As part of the AP portfolio submissions.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I am absolutely serious.
How do you know? How can you tell?
Well, their suggestion was to make sure that, and this is kind of the same rule of thumb with someone's doing their work for them, make sure that they're showing you the process and doing it in the classroom. Like if you can see the steps that they're doing in the classroom, you know, if you have someone that never does anything in the classroom and does it all at home and it's this beautiful artwork, then, you know, that kind of raises a red flag.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to show you guys this. I mean, it's a real tool, but I got it from the Dollar Tree on the craft aisle. And one side is really, really tiny, and the other side's got a really good fat. And for $1.25 for me to use, I wouldn't do this for the students, but it's actually a pretty cute little, and it's got like foam grippies, so it's easy to hold on to. But yeah, Dollar Tree. I love the Dollar Tree.
Is it a crochet hook?
Goes to put dots on my fingernails.
I have no idea. My daughter used it for her fingernails when she was putting on nails. So I have no idea, but it was on the craft aisle. I don't know.
It's an embossing tool.
Oh.
Oh, embossing. That's what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
It
you
works.
use it to push into paper or foil, it creates that
Okay.
embossed look. Yeah.
something that is kind of like that. And Steph, it's when we did the paper quilling.
Right,
The-
well, kind of.
The other end of that, like one end's for the paper quilling and one end's like kind of like a ball. And I tried that a minute ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think about the quilling. That would have been good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Yali,
And
that's so
here- Cause
cool.
here's the part where you hold the paper to quill, but it's got that little ball in just like yours did, Jeannie,
Yeah.
like a slot tool for the quilling.
Did not even realize that was there.
I don't know if you saw this, but Yali's almost 6-year-old son is doing it. Yay!
Aw. I didn't have any of my paint, so I've been doing it with color pencils,
Oh,
and my hand is cramping.
oh.
I'm like,
You're drawing polka dots?
yes.
I-
Can you see it?
Wow, yours are very precise though. Mine
Oh.
are like, they go big, then they get a little, they shrink. and then-
That still
Can I-
looks
can I see?
good.
It's
see it?
Would be
fun.
a good way to use old nail polish also.
That's a good one.
Ah, yeah.
Well, Steph, how is the watercolors working?
Let me show you. It's not bad. I tend to use my watercolors very thick and opaque. I just like it that way, almost like halfway between, well, halfway to gouache, because I like it.
Okay.
Are you using tube watercolors that you squirted out mixed with water or? or
No, I'm
pan?
using a pan. So here's here's where I am. Can you see it?
Wow,
I don't know.
Oh my goodness.
It really looks good.
Thank you.
Wow, that's pretty.
Thank
I didn't
you.
even think to try it with
Beautiful.
watercolor.
That's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not showing mine.
That's so nice and even. Mine
Well-
are all over the place.
Mine are too. I'll show you.
I'm trying to decide if I want to do the Q-tip or not, because it might just get all.
Q-tip is messy.
Yeah.
yeah. My toothpick was even picking up fuzz from the Q-tip that got stuck in my
Oh,
paint.
no.
Oh,
And I had trouble with the toothpick too. It's too small for me to hold.
What do you like the best, Roberta?
I'm not sure. I think my dowel. The dowel is very predictable and it doesn't squish at all.
Squish.
So yes, the dowel.
Okay, so I didn't even change colors. I just used blue and white,
Oh, let me see.
and I'm not disappointed.
Oh,
I think they're
Oh, that
nice.
was great.
It does look
Very
very.
nice. Can you bring
Yeah.
it closer?
There's one.
Closer, closer.
And
Nice.
that one, the bottom one was before you told me to put them on top of each other. So I like it just with the two colors.
it really unifies it.
And then let me show you guys one when they start to merge. When you have, like I joke, with the kids, I'm like, when they start to kiss, you can decide whether you want to have one keep going and one stop, or whether, like with this one, she had them touch the pink, like was one singular line, and then go around the whole thing now. And then you can either keep that growing until it goes off the page, or you can add additional dots. And that's when I give the students the pencils. And if they want to add dots and start growing more circles, they can.
I was thinking
And this
about
is just-
doing a circle in a circle, like layers.
Yep. Oh, and I have, you can do you mean like a circle on top of a circle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have this one here. I don't know if you can see the purple.
Yep.
oh,
Yeah,
I like
you can
that.
have. And this is really cool because the kids, you can either put the circle right on top, or you can put the circle in between, so they're connecting two dots. So you can do that also.
Really cool.
And I found that a lot of times I don't have to tell the kids to do this. They'll just kind of figure it out. And then they'll be like, oh, look what I did. And it's neat to see them like discover the different things that they can do. And of course, you will always have 1, 2, or a handful that'll be like, I don't like this. You know, that's gonna happen. We're gonna have that no matter what. But you just don't focus on them.
I can't decide if I want a drink, coffee, or a pint of ice cream.
Ice cream.
Say you can, while you're fixing a drink, you can have a cup of coffee, and then once you're done with the coffee, you can have your drink while you're eating your ice cream.
How about if you do a nutty
avocado?
Irishman? You need to do a nutty Irishman.
I could
gotta
put
have a-
Kahlua
you gotta-
over my ice cream and then have coffee with that.
Would do
Drizzle
the
it with Kahlua.
with the coffee over the ice cream also.
Oh,
You
yeah.
gotta drizzle it with Kahlua.
Or I could just mix it all
Problem
together and have
solvers.
an egg cream, sort of. I don't know. Really. Thank God it's Friday tomorrow. Thank God.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
Longest week ever.
Yes.
And of course, I'll say this again next week too.
Oh, yeah. I said
I'm gonna-
something. I was in the elevator with a colleague coming down and out of the building today, and he said, this has been, he's like, just keep thinking about spring break. It's coming. It's coming. I said, yes, so is November.
You know, you get frustrated with the kids and all the things you have to do. And then today I was furious at the end of the day. Well, this morning when I walked in, and I've mentioned to custodians, look, I do the tables. There's a lot of cleaning I do in here all day long. Please just vacuum my rug. Please just, there's just spots of paint and broom the room. Nothing. Again,
You have a
don't
rug
vacuum?
in your art room?
I put it in the front because with kindergarten, they
Oh.
come up and sit.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's one that can be, you can scrub it and the paint comes right off.
Okay.
It's a good one. But I just scrubbed my own floor. I was like, I'm done. So when they walk in, they're going to see my room is spotless.
And they'll
I
take
want to
credit for it.
say, and I'm nice. You know, when they've helped me with paint night, I buy
Right.
them pizza. I do stuff. Not again. I'm done. Just furious.
That's so frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
My room is directly across from the custodial closet, and I have a key to it. Dude, I go in there and grab their mops. I get paper towel. I restock my room all the because I count them. So there is a benefit of being at the end of the hall near their closet.
Yeah, I'm just gonna start just doing it. I'm getting everything, and you know, they do anything, it's just double duty. I'm just done.
Kind of ridiculous that we have to do it ourselves, though.
It is completely.
Are y'all really short custodians like we are in Texas?
Oh, yes.
I don't know, maybe.
I know,
Georgia
and I know
needs
they're short.
custodians.
I know they're short, and but they just hired this one guy who wants to transfer to day work. I'm like, you can't even do this night work. Are you kidding? I don't know.
I
Just-
have been in the same building for 20 years, and the turnover for custodial people has been, within the last 10, has been crazy. Every 2 years it switches over. But the first 10 years we had an amazing crew, would bend over backwards, do anything I asked, and even things I didn't ask, they would do for me. And I would always, take care of them at the holidays. And
Yeah.
the current crew, I'll be lucky if they sweep my floor every day, which they're supposed to do, and empty my garbage every day, and it's not happening. And it's just,
Thank goodness they do empty out the garbage. That's,
we even run out of, my room is literally practically next door to the staff bathroom, the women's bathroom, and half the time we run out of toilet paper in the middle of the day.
Oh, no.
And it
that's
doesn't.
horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I
That-
end up having to go to the men's room because, you know,
Basic needs and come on, man.
do your damn job.
We don't want to drip dry.
Uh,
Don't have time to drip dry.
Right?
Right? Don't have time.
You
One
only have,
year one year when I was subbing in a high school years ago, the classroom was opposite the custodian closet and someone set a fire in the custodian's closet.
Oh, my
God.
goodness.
That's horrible.
It was a very exciting school experience there.
well, you got the day off.
No, not even.
What do you mean not even? I'm sure you had to evacuate and have a fire drill and all that stuff.
Nope, they just came, somebody came and put out the fire and the day went
Really?
on.
Oh, come on. The fire bells didn't go off?
Nope.
Wow.
Well, that's concerning.
Yeah, that is concerning.
I'm a
That
little
was-
scared to be in that building.
That was Andrew Jackson High School, where I had been a student years before and came back to sub. And they had a nursery for the children of students there.
Oh,
And it was very interesting.
They had that in my first school in 20 years ago. They had a nursery for the kids, for the students, mothers. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's what do you call it? Oh my God, I'm already on Friday brain.
I've been on it since Monday.
You know, I never thought that the daylight savings affected me, but boy, oh boy, this
Oh,
week
it
has been
destroyed me.
completely out of my mind. Completely.
Why does it feel so different this year?
I don't know, but it really does.
It does to me too.
Yeah,
Amy.
this was a really hard year
Yeah.
for it.
I'm scared of going back to school next week after being off for spring break and having daylight savings time.
Oh, you're
You're,
gonna
you're not used to it yet.
be
Yeah.
completely out of whack. Complete.
Oh,
And, you know, you kind of get lazy during spring break, so I got the time change and that.
Wow. I think you should start tonight and go to bed an hour earlier.
Like you do with the kids.
Yeah, I slept till like 9 o'clock today and I do not sleep that late.
That's not late.
No.
That's not late.
Well,
That's
when
late.
you gotta get
That
up
is
at
very
6
late.
on a school day.
Oh my God.
On the weekends, I tell my friends, do not call me before 11 o'clock. Do not call me before 11 o'clock. I'm not. calling-
Ben,
Yeah.
I'm up at 7.
On the weekend?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't
up
mind
early
it
'cause I'm used to
then
it.
I have the whole day and I have my coffee and I just chill out. I just naturally wake up early now.
No,
Weird.
no, I'm not a morning.
Yeah,
person.
weekdays, I'm out of here by 6:30 to get to work by 7.
Yeah, me too. Same
You
thing.
know, if I can be there earlier, I can, but typically with walking the dogs and stuff like that, if I can get, but it's nice and peaceful and quiet.
I love the building without kids.
Jobs are so much easier when they're not there.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly.
Although Monday I had to give an equity training and it is so much easier to stand in front of teenagers than it is to stand up in front of adults.
You think so?
Yeah, because you can hush the kids.
Why can't you
Yes.
trust the adults?
Adults are the worst, audience members.
Right?
I was nervous when I did my 3 workshops at NYSADA in Binghamton in November. But once I just got up there, I forgot, you don't think about it. You're just kind of in your rhythm, in your space, and you do what you do. And
That's different because you're with art teachers though. Like, art teachers are cool.
yes,
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Absolutely.
Oh, rock.
We are the coolest.
I've been forming nice friendships at this school. This is my second year at this new school. And it's really nice. I have this group that we meet Wednesday nights. They come over and they want to practice the lessons that I'm doing prototypes on. So, and it's great. We've been
Fun.
doing wet felting,
Fun.
needle felting, embroidery.
Wait,
And
you mean
having
there are
fun.
other art teachers where you are?
I have one other art teacher. She's part-time. And then I have the secretary comes. She's very gifted. You should see her needle felting. It's absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
And now there's going to be like, now it's word of mouth. So it's like a little bit more and a little bit more. So
At your house or in your art
I know
room?
it's school right after work.
Okay.
I'm so
Yeah.
jealous.
It's
Yeah,
the cool kids club.
Yeah, right.
It is. It's really cool. I put out some little suckers and little fun stuff and we just chill. It's from like 4:15, 4:30 and till about 6, sometimes a
that's
little later,
awesome.
depending on what we're doing. We're going to start, I want to do a lesson of wet felting bookmarkers for the students for 5th grade. And they all wanted to practice with me. So I'm like, all right, we're going to be doing it.
So how does it affect your budget and your art supplies? Do you still have? Just wonder.
So with the art supply, so if I buy things, they will pitch in and
Okay.
I buy for them.
Cool.
So you don't
Okay.
have school stuff for them.
Yeah, I have, it's separate.
Okay.
Or I'll
Okay.
tell them like tonight, like with all you guys, bring your own materials.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah, and then I just did like a little fundraiser. So I set aside some extra money for that, which was really good, the paint night.
Oh, I have several friends that do the paint nights. It's neat.
Oh yeah, I want to do one like see if I can get another one done before the end of the year and definitely 2 or 3 throughout the year because that is really great money.
My
I do it
alumni
too. It is good money.
do that. And right now I just don't have the energy. I'd love it, but
Yeah, I have no energy right now for it. I just can't wait till spring break and I want to get these darn panels done.
Oh my gosh, the art shows.
Then I had to change the blade out. Have you guys ever changed a blade out in the, I'm sure you have.
Of a mat cutter?
The mat cutter. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Cut my fingers. I'm like, what the freaking frack?
I don't even have a mat cutter. I don't have a mat cutter at all.
I don't either.
Yeah.
We have it. They want us to do our mats.
We do old
We
school.
just mount everything.
Yep, mounted.
Yeah, we mat our AP's mat, but everyone else we mount.
That would be
They
really
have to mat it
nice.
themselves.
No, they want
So
us.
it's on
uh,
them. Does anybody want to share?
There you go. I'll do it.
Love it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. This is great. I do not recommend color pencils unless it's cramping.
What's my blurry?
It's a little blurry, Carolyn, but I can see the color.
Oh, no, what? I know what I do. I gotta turn my little blur
Oh,
setting
you have the
off.
blur thing on.
The blur
Ooh,
background.
Risa, I like that.
Ooh.
Purple.
Forward or
Oh, very
it.
nice.
forward? I don't know which way am I supposed to go, forward or back?
Well,
Because my
Forward.
background's blurred and then blurring.
Yeah, I
but-
think it's because your background.
Right in front of
There
my
it
face.
is. There it is. Perfect.
nice.
Beautiful. That's
Well, I like your
beautiful.
color choices.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
I love
I
contrasting
think that's
colors.
unblurred.
Thanks.
Oh, let me
Well,
see,
that-
Carolyn. Nice.
Oh,
Oh,
cute.
very nice.
Mine go kind of wacky, like.
Ooh, they're about to
Out
kiss.
colors.
They're about to
Beautiful. Sarah, let's see yours.
Sarah.
Oh, Sarah,
kiss.
nice.
Sarah.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it looks like little comets.
Ooh.
I was gonna say, it kind of looks very astronomical.
Yeah.
It looks like a ship.
It also
wheel.
makes me think of turtles. Is that yellow or green?
Oh, like a compass rose.
Yellow and green.
I love
Okay.
it.
And I got a
Oh,
little
look at
gold in
that.
it.
It
Yeah.
reminds me of a compass rose. Very cool.
Can you guys all hold them up? I want to take a picture.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, this is so great. I love it. Ah! All right, let's see.
Oh, Steph, yours is great. Very nice.
Oh,
Julie, you're doing yours on the iPad, I just
Oh.
realized.
Julie, are you doing an iPad?
Are you doing it on iPad?
Do you need it anymore?
Who's on it?
Oh, we're good. I got him.
Here.
Let me see your iPad.
Clicky.com.
Wait, show that again.
I
Very
love
nice.
that.
On an iPad.
Julie,
Let me
that's
turn it
awesome.
straight. Hold on.
How did you do it on the iPad?
Clicky.com. It's a free paint program.
Clicky.
Mom, it looks good.
KLEKI.com.
Is there a brush on there that does dots?
It does dots, it does shapes, it does letters, it does everything.
Let me
It's
see.
like
if I-
Photoshop, only free.
Wow.
Very
That could
nice.
be cool for like special needs kids that can't really get the fine motor. They can do the dots on the tablet.
Yeah.
I
And
use
just
it all the time.
erase
It
it
also
easily.
has a eraser tool, so you can do scratch art with it.
Oh, cool.
Fun.
What's
Yeah.
it called? Clicky?
Clecky, KLEKI.com.
Lucky.
KLEKI.com. I highly recommend it. We use it every day.
Wow.
Does it work on a Chromebook?
It works on everything.
Browser
yeah.
based.
Is it
What
web
is
based
this?
or does it have to be downloaded?
No, it's
it's like a
you
website.
Just go to the website.
Use the little art teacher's room, excuse me.
Do you use your pencil, your computer
This
pencil?
time, yeah, I used this little, it has a rubber tip on it.
Yes,
But
yeah.
you can use your fingers. Kids use their fingers. I use a mouse at school.
Oh, wow.
One
Yeah.
of my middle school art teacher friends used that a lot during virtual. Our middle schoolers really
Bye,
like that.
guys.
Oh, bye, Annie. You know what? It's 8:46. I just realized what time it is. Oh my, I guess.
Oh,
we
now
should
into
get
our
this going.
dots.
Is it that time?
This
were-
was very fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
was
so
great.
much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Julie.
Wait, when do we meet again?
Wow, we have a fan. I usually try to do
crazy
twice a
to me.
month. I think we've done 3 times this month.
Didn't
Not
you
till
have one
April.
We
I
had
ha-
one last week, right?
What, Mom?
Didn't we have one last week?
We had one last week and then the week before with Julie and our whole conversation about it. So,
Right.
That was only 2 weeks ago.
yeah. I have to stalk somebody new on Facebook and, or what we can do is have another Zen session for ourselves and just make art for ourselves. We could do that too. But it probably won't be until April at this rate. 'Cause I have parent conferences next week on Thursday. And then I am in a educator program at the Brooklyn Museum of Art the week after that. So April is it, but I will post and I will email. Sarah, are you on my email list?
I think I am. I did get the one for this class.
Then you are. Okay, great. So,
Let me tell y'all something that that is free that a artist in Italy does. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you might have seen it, but I learned about it during the pandemic. But if you look up sketchbookrevival.com, she does like 2 weeks of 2 days, 2 times a day of workshops that you could do in your sketchbook. It's free. It's recorded. You don't have to do it that day. Anyway, it's what actually got me back into making my own personal art after, being a mom and a teacher. But look it up. It starts on Monday. But you can sign up anytime and it's free.
yeah, it's good. There's a lot of free stuff being posted now for art making for ourselves. Sketchbook stuff, journaling, mixed media. Oh my God, so many. There's more than I have time to do, and it's all kind of like backing up in my mailbox. So spring break, I'll be busy art making and zoning out from the world. Yeah.
Making
Recovering.
dots.
All right.
Julie, you are awesome. Thank you. This was amazing. And thank you for sharing your presentation. I am going to continue to stalk you. Future, future reference. And I miss you, girl.
I know. I gotta get back up to NYC. Thank you guys so much for coming. You were wonderful. Great
Thank you.
crowd.
This is
Really
great.
enjoyed it.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
This was
sticking
great. And
with
thanks,
us.
Steph, for always for organizing all this.
This
Happy
was
to do
wonderful
it. I
tonight.
need you guys too, so I'm happy to do it. Stick with us
Yes.
and look
Have a
for
good
more,
night.
for more flyers. All
Good to
right.
see y'all again. And I know it's been a while.
Bye,
Good to see
everybody.
you.
Bye.
Good night, y'all.
Have a great weekend.
Night.
Bye.
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 Bye.